Hey folks, R2R reporting from Delhi, Ohio. I just spent about 3 hours on a video I want to put out. I spent 3 hours in essence putting together an email laying out a legal defense of why those bus drivers committed serious criminal offenses in the recording that I've already posted. And so that email went out to a bunch of people. It's an escalation. The title of this video, I hope to put out that email here shortly. The title of that video is going to include the word escalation. So what's happened is I've reached out to Oak Hills local school district in essence, and I reached out to I reached out to the private company first. And I let them know what was going on. I said, I don't feel great. I really don't want the driver to get in trouble, but I understand there's a police report and allegedly my understanding is yada. So they were informed, just give them a heads up. And I told them that talking to might be a good thing, however y'all want to look into it type of thing. And then I reached out to Oak Hills local school district because I believe they were responsible for that first bus, the big yellow one. And I was semi-satisfied with their response, but it left a lot to be desired. And I'm doing this all from recollection, all from memory, all allegedly, just from what I remember. But in essence, Bill Murphy got back to me, the head of safety and security, as I understand it, and in essence said I had a talk with the bus driver. And I think I emailed him back, and at somewhere in there, I gave him a list of things I wanted. And I'll go through that in a minute. But Bill came back in essence saying, I talked to the bus driver, and even though law doesn't require it, I've informed her to go ahead and start using the stop sign and the flashing lights, as I'm alleging law does require it. But they're saying, law doesn't require it. The Delhi Police Department is still in their investigatory phase, but is showing signs of leaning toward, we don't enforce that. We can enforce it up there. So I put together a legal analysis with feedback from my not legal advice, legal advisors, and probably spent the last 3 hours on it. It was an escalation. And I'll say that, let me try and remember the list of what I gave to Bill Murphy, head of security and safety for Oak Hills local school district. This is what I asked for. In essence, I told him that, hey, I really don't want to ticket these low-level bus drivers, and from what I understand, they could also lose, I think it's called T8 certification. So this could have serious ramifications to them. And I understand why we have serious accountability for these serious types of infractions. But I don't want that burden on me, and I'm a forgiving person. And so I, in essence, told Oak Hill Schools that, hey, if you do the right thing, I will be part of the team that's pushing for no ticketing. In fact, I'll drop most everything, if not everything. If I feel you all are going to do the right thing, then there's really no need for me to escalate and try to find the right thing somewhere else. So one of the things I asked for, which I'm listing it first, but it's one of the low priority things, is I asked for an apology from their employee that I refer to as a biatch that was yelling at me, trying to kick me off public property, and also misrepresented allegedly misrepresented what Oak Hills local school district property they have authority of. And so they seem to think it was okay based on their reply and how I interpreted it, that it's okay for their employees to yell at a member of the public who's also a active taxpayer resident paying taxes that go into their coffins. They seem to think it's okay for someone like that, an employee like that, to yell at a taxpayer and tell them to get off public property and turn around and you need to get away from here and you're weird or this is weird and all that stuff. I don't believe that's the case. And it's a big enough deal that it requires an apology to be made whole at this phase in the game. The other thing I asked for on the list is not just notifying that bus driver. Why? Number one, you might have turnover in that bus driver. You might have turnover in your safety director. This may, in a year from now, if both those positions turn over, from the response I got the impression that there's no real log of what happened here, and that the next bus driver that's hired may go and do the exact same thing. Why not? They're not admitting it's illegal. Number two, what this really requires for a holistic solution, in my opinion, is an update to their policy and procedures manual. If not, they're not going to have accountability and recognize this as breaking the law, as I am alleging and have escalated, then they need to recognize that when they don't do that safety procedure, that they're at least breaking policy. Not that they're breaking the wishes of head of security and safety. No, this requires a policy modification, in my opinion. Or it requires showing me that policy or some other device of accountability is in place should they do that again. Right now, it's my understanding they don't think on that level, or they think on that level and they just don't care enough about kids' safety, allegedly, to do what I think is right. What else did I ask for? I asked questions about stuff like that, like what happens if there's turnover? How do you assure, since you only just talked to this one bus? The other concern is it sounded like he talked to this one bus driver, but did he do any investigation? I don't know how many other locations are like this, picking up kids at other locations like this one, where they don't use these security and safety, or these safety protocols, these best practices, these what I allege are legal requirements. How many other places are there, if any? And if there are other places, did you communicate the same thing to them? Or how about you just put it in a policy manual and put it in the training? That's the other thing I requested, training. Update your training materials. It sounds like he provided one bus driver some training, but it's not a holistic solution. So I went to escalation mode based on some of what I just articulated. And here's what my research shows high level. One is I sent it to the prosecutor's office. I called them as well. That video is coming out. Front desk lady, I asked her, I said, it looks like my local PD might not go to y'all with this case. I said, it sounds like they don't understand the law, allegedly. I said, can I do some kind of affidavit and supply my video evidence to the prosecutor's office for you to review? And she said, no. I said, I heard it somewhere, are you sure? And I'm paraphrasing from recollection. She said, we work for the police. The prosecutor's office, let this sink in, folks. The prosecutor's office told me we work for the PD. I thought they work for the people. I thought if you claim you're working for the PD, that's a clear, number one, ethical violation. Number two, a clear bias against the defendant. Clear bias. Just my opinion, just what I'm alleging. It's radical, the things you run into when you do government accountability. But that's the case. And here's what I learned is that, hey, that's fine. If my local PD don't want to do the right thing, and I'm not saying they haven't, I'm just saying if they don't want to, refer to the prosecutor's office. If Oak Hill's local school district doesn't want to do the right thing, in my opinion, and allegedly, and the prosecutor's office doesn't want to run with this ball, we still have options. And what we're talking about here is not just ORC code. It goes into the administrative handbooks that help identify and define what the ORC code is meaning. It's all in the letter. Here's my options I've learned is that I can go to the state police, who has jurisdiction, and the state police tend to take child safety and bus, with regard to the school buses, generally more serious than do the local law enforcement. So that's an option that I've not exercised yet. We're going to wait and see what the local PD does, what the school district does, see if they change direction, want to do the right thing. We're going to see what the prosecutor's office does. And if all those folks don't want to do the right thing, in my mind, we're going to look at the highway patrol. And then there's also a government agency in Ohio that I understand has enforcement ability over bus transportation. And so I laid it all out for them, folks. I just volunteered 3 hours of my time. I really didn't think of it. I was thinking up there earlier, man, I just spent about 3 hours on this, just volunteering my time. I'll never get that shit back. But now I'm going to ask you all, anybody watching this, like, subscribe, and there's one other thing I want to talk about that's really, really important. Somebody that I watch on YouTube, fair amount, and some of you may love or hate him. His name's Jimmy Dore. He's also a comedian and he talks politics. And he just had on someone recently that I haven't seen a lot before. Is a woman, I forget her name, starts with W's. And I'm in Ohio, and I don't know if y'all heard the name Wax Lexner. And again, all this is alleged from recollection and alleged. It's all alleged. You know, that had alleged ties and was someone under investigation at one time, alleged ties to Epstein. Well, the story is in New Albany. The essence of the story that's being alleged is that in New Albany is where it started, and what he's doing is bringing in data centers, privatizing government, I'll say governments or government services. New Albany is the example. And getting subsidies and getting a lot of politicians and power players in the book or in the pocket. And, you know, when I first went up to Delhi and I made some videos about how I'm concerned and have conversations with people about how I'm concerned what they did at the Delhi Town Center, where basically Delhi went into the real estate business. Part of that's still underutilized. They had to rent out the old building to the DEA. It was way underutilized. They sold it on the idea that we were going to have shopping up there. There's really not shopping up there. So that was a little deceiving in the long run. And they went into some weird partnership with some private companies, one or more, where we're now in the gym business as well. We're now in like the private gym business, only it's like a public gym business, only it's like maybe private, maybe public. Listen to how those police officers talk about this property. The lieutenant, the corporal, and other people you talk to about this property, they don't know if they can enforce law on it or not. Sometimes they call it private, sometimes they call it public, sometimes they say it's public access private. And the thing is it's so confusing, but what they're doing, allegedly, is they want corporations to run the government. The government will be the corporation ran by a CEO, i.e. a dictatorship. And what I see in Delhi, I see as the early stages of the, call it what you want, conspiracy theorists. I think some of what she stated is verifiable truth. And I'm seeing it happening in Delhi. And the change in Delhi happened about the same time or a little bit after what happened up in New Albany, which was kind of like the model, the first one, and then spread from there. And if you look, I think the stat is that Ohio is number 4 in the most data centers in the nation. And a lot of those are located in New Albany. If you are in Ohio and you wonder why your electric bill is going up so much, might be related to New Albany. Might be related to all the data centers we're cranking in, and then you wonder why our taxes going up. Yeah, some of it is that Obamacare and the Medicaid and stuff that our prior Republican governor brought in. But some of it, I believe, in my opinion, is what Wax Lexner and his companies and his partners and stuff like that are doing in New Albany, and related kickbacks or maybe the word is all allegedly. Maybe the word is I don't know what the word is, so I'll just stick with the kickbacks. It's what I got to say, folks. Peace and love.